Well, looks like Auntie's late again. Guess I can do this week's video. Get out of the chair, Tony. Please, can I just... Out. Oh, please, can I do this week's video?
No.
I really want to. I never get to do a weekly
I could have
video.
done the video when I went away on holiday. But you went away on holiday too.
Yeah, but that's not the point. I want to do this.
No, it's not happening. You go, I do this week's video. When I go away, you can do the next one.
You're never going to go away, man. Fine, whatever. This isn't over.
What did you say?
Subscribe.
Hello and... Nope. Hello and welcome to episode 38 of The Life of a Musician. This episode we are covering the past 2 weekends of my working life. However, that's only 3 gigs. Before I explain why, first let's talk about the 1st of August. On this date, me and John was set to play 2 gigs, one being quite a usual gig that we do, but the first gig of the day being quite something else. We got booked for a private gig quite a while ago, which obviously isn't that out of the ordinary. However, what the gig was for was quite unusual. After playing the gig, we found out the way we got selected for this particular event was in fact the person who booked us, called Naomi. She actually was on social media scrolling through lots of different musicians in the area, happened to stumble across our page, found the one video that's on our Instagram and thought this would be perfect. She also told us we should put more videos on there to help get us found. We shall do that. Thank you for the advice. Anyway, so after Naomi found us on Instagram, little side note, through the event Naomi was taking videos and pictures of us performing and even made us a little promo video. You can go check that out on our Instagram, The King's Encore. Please do. And give us a follow. But thank you, Naomi, for making that video. Very helpful indeed. But anyway, back to the order of events. We got booked and then we negotiated to a point where we agreed on the price point, obviously, but also the amount of sets. As you may know, a usual gig, private or in a public place, is usually 2 45-minute sets, sometimes an hour set. But this particular event, we was playing 4 sets spanning from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And also in the negotiation, sounds a bit more formal than I am anticipating it to be, but it is quite formal obviously. We also was asked if we was able to play some music in the background in between the sets, just so it doesn't go completely silent. The venue in question is this building. Now you might be thinking, Antony, did you just show us a building and in the Instagram handle it said dental? Why, yes I did. We was in fact booked for a dental practice event. The reason being, this building was the new branch of 3 I believe so far, this being the 3rd. One was in Southport, one's also in Newton-le-Willows, and this one's in Newton. I don't know if Newton and Newton-le-Willows is different, but there you have it. But they wanted to celebrate a quite significant milestone of opening a new branch. In any business, that's great news. And obviously, because we get booked, it's great news for us. I don't think you need me to tell you that we've never played for a dental practice before, and therefore we had no idea what to expect. As we showed up before the set time for other people to arrive, which was 2 p.m. when we were meant to start playing, it was a little quiet, and therefore even more eyebrow raising for what impact we might have on this event. However, once being set up and reassured that there was going to be around 50 people coming, the nerves settled. And to be fair, after that, there's not really much to talk about. It was pretty much a standard gig, however, twice as long, although I was struggling with what I thought to be the start of a sore throat. More on that later. But it was a really fun and enjoyable gig. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Naomi asked if it was possible for us to play music in between on the breaks. We said yes, of course. And I had a couple ways of going about this. First, and theoretically the simpler way to do it, was connect my phone to my speaker with Bluetooth, the built-in Bluetooth, might I add, and then play the music. The only issue with this is we don't use my speaker as the main projection for our sound. We use my speaker in the King's Encore setup as the monitor, so it's facing us. So yes, it is a simple case of moving it around, but I thought we could do it a different way. This brings us to the second idea, which brings us to this device. This is basically a Bluetooth transmitter and it connects my phone to this. Now we just need a way to put this to the speakers using this. Basically, we took a channel in the desk, as you'll be able to see from this picture, and using this aux cable with an adapter on the end, we was able to send the songs into the desk quite seamlessly. Now, we did come into some inconveniences doing this technique, as we couldn't really be bothered plugging it into maybe a microphone channel and then leveling off all the sound. We opted for this input, and any of my tech savvy friends or music tech savvy friends might see this is labelled for the left input. Therefore, the music only came out of the left speaker. This isn't too big of an issue though, as it is background noise, and also it's still projecting as it is our main speakers, not the monitor, so we don't have to move the speaker, which is fine. But as we don't know currently, or we've not actually took enough time to see how we can mute the channels simply, as there's no specific mute button on John's desk, we did have to turn down all the inputs individually to stop any feedback. This is a bit annoying. I did take a picture of the input levels before doing this, so every time we went back for another set, just put it back to where the picture was. So it was a little bit annoying, but not as annoying as moving a big speaker around. And we also got to test out a new piece of equipment. I'm sure we'll find a way to make this a bit more clean and a way to not affect our channels. And I'll probably buy a stereo aux cable so then I can plug it into the left and right, and then it will obviously stereo the sound. But that's for future Anthony and John to think about. One more thing about this gig, we was supplied with free alcohol. However, we wasn't drinking, but the offer was still there, thank you very much. We did get plenty of bottles of water, which is nice. And there was a catering team there, and they also supplied us with free food. I am not going to complain, obviously. I don't actually have any pictures of the food because I was just so hungry, but it was really good and it was quite fancy compared to what we was expecting. When we first got there, it said like hot dogs on this blackboard on the catering van. I'm like, oh, hot dogs, okay, cool. Turns out there was actually a set food thing happening later on once it was prepared, and you had the option of either salt and pepper chicken and chips or a doner wrap and chips. John went for the salt and pepper chicken, I went for the doner wrap. Now when I say salt and pepper chicken and doner wrap, this isn't some stodge that you get from a takeaway shop in your local area. This was like proper chicken, seasoned, proper chips, proper doner meat, not that weird scabby looking stuff, even though I eat that anyway. With like fresh salad, a really nice small wrap. It was actually delicious. And the bright side about all this, when we finished, we was asked if we wanted any more food, and as the catering team was packing down, they gave us one portion of each again, but because they was closing, or finishing their shift, they actually piled in loads of food for this portion. So the wrap before was, yeah, in a reasonable amount. The next one was more than what you get from a takeaway shop, and better quality, and for free. I want to go back. But thank you for giving us some more food, because that means we had time to fuel up for our next gig. But first I just want to say thank you very much to Naomi and the entire dental practice for having us, and I believe there's talks about us doing the Christmas party. More on that in the future. Now I am going to take a second just to say please like the video if you're enjoying it so far, but now we'll go on to the next gig. Moving on from the private function, me and John were set to play at Fatbird in Wigan, one of our favourite music venues to play at. Not really much to talk about this gig, to be fair. A great sing-along night, and there was also plenty of dancing and requests.
'Cause I'm just a teenage dirtbag, baby. Yeah, I'm just a teenage dirtbag, baby. Listen to Iron Maiden, baby, with me. Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me?
Although one thing that I did find amusing about this gig, which seems to happen a lot recently, is when one of us is playing on the cajon, there seems to be a lot of drunken folk coming up and trying to talk to us as if we're not busy. Now yes, it may look like we're just sat on a box doing nothing, but we are keeping time, which is quite intricate, depending on the song. And sometimes we do have to sing backing vocals too. So it is a bit difficult to have a full-blown conversation with someone not really making much sense as well. Now I am not complaining too much about this, as it is quite amusing when it happens, especially when it happens to John. I'm a little bit less of a people person, but I will. But I thought I'd just bring this up as it's quite a funny anecdote. And this is life of a musician. I tell you all the details. Mostly. But anyway, there we have it. That is the first weekend in August completed. Now, I mentioned I had a sore throat before. It is time to talk about that. Through the week following the private function, I have been going live on my TikTok page, singing for about an hour to 2 hours without a break. And in these TikTok streams, I could feel my throat becoming slightly more affected. Now, Thursday rolls around, and this is the night of John's open mic at Core. And when I was there, I said to John, I don't think I'm going to be able to play too many songs. 4 songs in, my throat is going. So yeah, it wasn't happening. Pretty much lost control of my lower register, which is weird. Basically where I'm talking and sing slightly higher than this. But also when I'm going for powerful higher notes, there's just not really much grit and strength behind them. Sounds a bit weak compared to how I can usually sound. Not good. Now I was set to play Georgia Browns with John the following day, which would prove to be a struggle. But that wasn't my main concern. My main concern was Saturday. Originally, I was booked for the Doe's Bottomless Brunch from 2:30 till 4:30, and then set to play another gig at Swinley 15's in Wigan from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. So 2 full solo gigs in one day with a sore throat. That doesn't sound like a good idea. Now I can tell you now, neither of these gigs happened. However, not because of the sore throat, or not directly because of the sore throat. First, I asked John would he cover my Dole gig, so then I would just have to do one gig that day, which he agreed to do. Thank you, John. However, when I turned up to my second gig of the day, which is the only gig of the day now, let's say it was forgotten about. Now, before I go into detail about what I mean by this, I just want to say I am not blaming anyone for this incident, nor am I saying this venue isn't anything but a fun place to perform and have a drink, a laugh with your friends, because I have played here once before and I did enjoy it. So this story is nothing to reflect what kind of venue this is. It is a really good venue. This anecdote is simply for you to understand what I can go through with certain circumstances. That is the whole idea of life of a musician. That's what it entails, and that's what I cover in these videos. Whether they may be good things, bad things, amazing, or annoying. But anyway, now that's been cleared, let's tell the story. I showed up to 15's and noticed on the TV, Wigan Rugby is playing. That's not a good start. Now, it doesn't take a genius to work out who the home team of the town is playing on the TV right now, live. Do people want to listen to music, or do they want to watch the rugby? By the way, it is 6 p.m, so it's not like a usual spot for a music artist to play at. Normally it's later on. So, after noticing the rugby was on the TV, I went over to the bar staff and reluctantly asked, "Where do you want me?" What I'd describe as a confused looking bar staff member replied with was, "I didn't know we had a musician today." She then showed me this list that someone had created as it was Pride Day in Wigan, and the list was venues and the artists that were playing at said venues. Next to Swinley 15's, nobody. She then explained to me the recent rotation in management at the venue due to circumstances out of anybody's hands, and therefore was explained that she's not been told by anybody that there was someone playing today. She did kindly suggest if I would like to play after the rugby. However, I don't really want to be waiting 2 hours, watch the rugby, then perform for another 2 hours. Just not part of the job, usually. So I did respectfully decline the offer to play afterwards. The reason, obviously, she asked was she didn't want me to be out of the gig's wage. However, waiting the 2 hours, as I said, isn't part of the job anyway. Even though I did have a sore throat, I was willing to do the 2 hour gig, but waiting 2 hours and then doing it, it's not for me, sorry. But thank you for asking. Now, she did take my details down, as well as the future gigs that I have set to play with them, which she says she'll get back to me with soon. So hopefully them gigs stay, because I would like to be back at the venue. But yeah, I went from having 2 gigs that day to nothing. Make of that what you will. But as I said, that is life of a musician and part of being self-employed. Sometimes things just don't work out. You can't help it. No one can help it. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. But on a brighter note, my voice is slowly getting better, and I imagine I'll be back ready for 3 gigs on Saturday. We shall see. But that's for next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Once again, please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new. Make sure to keep music in your life, and I hope to see you either on a TikTok stream when my voice is better, in person, or again in next week's video. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.